So here we are in my isolation booth. They put me in here because I'm trouble, you know, and I need to be contained. And presently I've been enjoying myself with this little box here called the Maestro Rhythm, which has proved to be sort of the beginnings, the foundations for a song called The Extra. And this is something I've never really done before, but it's essentially a drum machine, quite a prehistoric one, with these presets here. You've got bossa nova, samba, rumba, swing, Dixie, march, and waltz. The one that we're using is called go-go, because we're particularly inspired by Wham on this album. So I can turn it on and off with this little foot switch here. To which I start adding effects such as distortion. A little bit of blue box for a little bit of echo for a note. It up a little bit, another delay pedal. Then we put it through kind of a sort of modulator octave box. Finally through a phrasing. Turn on and off at any point, and you can play a whole song with your feet. Wow. There we go.
Well, we're just about to start rehearsals. We've firmed up festivals this summer, so we want to put the record out before then, and we also want to rehearse and become, you know, the tight rock band that we want to be.
Our plans for the next year are our plans for the next 2 years, you know, really, which is always the ridiculously daunting prospect of leaving your home for like 2 years of your life and traveling around the world, losing all points of reference and sort of waking up in a different town every day. Having done that before, we kind of know what that means. And it is exciting, but it is also quite daunting. We're putting together a brand new band for this tour, and it looks like we're going to be a 6-piece on stage, which is really exciting. I mean, we started off as like just, you know, a power trio in the mid-90s. To have kind of doubled the personnel in 10, 15 years, you know, probably means that the scope of the music, or, you know, the complexity of the sound has kind of like doubled in order for it to necessitate 6 people to reproduce it live. So it's very exciting, and, you know, we're also the type of band that doesn't necessarily go on tour and recreate down to the very, very last note the songs as they were recorded, you know, on the record. So the idea of kind of using the record as a sort of, you know, starting point and building arrangements on top of that with a whole new live band is really very exciting. We're just about to begin discussing what the live show is going to look like aesthetically, what theatrical trickery we may have at our disposal in order to create something really exciting. But, you know, it has to be said that, you know, you can dress a monkey up in as much designer clothing as you want, and as much Gucci and as much Dior as you like, but it's still going to be a monkey. Do you know what I mean? And it's similar with a live show. You know, you can get all the special effects, all the fireworks, you know, all the projections that you want, and if you don't have a tight band, if you don't have a band there, that's really trying their hardest to communicate outwardly to the people, to really give something special, which means to give something of themselves to the audience, then, you know, what you have is a mediocre band with a very expensive stage set.
Oh, just the thought of it, but I know, like, as soon as you get up there and kind of get settled in, you're like nervous and you ding, okay, then it's gone, and it's like, all right, and we're off, and it just kind of all goes from there. I find it best for me not to think too much about it, because if I do, my head starts to spin a little bit. I'm personally psyched about it. I'm like really excited, you know what I mean? It's like I can't wait to go at that. I mean, I'm a touring musician, man. I love being in the studio and everything, but there's nothing like being live, you know? It's like, that's when you can just let it all out and really just like, boom. And just the whole, you know, going on tour and seeing these different places and playing with these different bands and obviously, yeah, playing in front of that many people, it's like, it's terrifying, but it's a really good terrifying, because that's half the rush, isn't it? You know, like, the little pre-show jitters, I know I'm probably gonna puke, vomit, and shat myself, but it'll be, I'm really excited about it. I'm curious to see how it'll all go. Yeah, this is my first time touring for this amount of time and going to this many places. I'm gonna take lots of photos.
Our main focus has to remain the musicianship and the delivery of these songs. And we will deliver them in the way that we feel is the most soulful, which may not necessarily be exactly the way that everybody in the audience wants to hear them, but it will be the way that is, which makes the most emotional sense at that point in time. That's the whole point of making records, is that you start off with a whole set of intentions, and there might be a kernel of that left by the time you finish it, but you've been through such an emotional journey, and hopefully you've written songs along the way as well, and hopefully songs have changed and, you know, taken on new life and everything, but that by the time you finish it, you've come to a place of truth, but it's not really the truth that you kind of set out to tell, but it's kind of a more honest truth, because it's real, it's reality, it's what you've done, as opposed to what you've tried to sculpt. If you manage to remain natural in the recording studio, then, you know, the truth that you come up with at the end will be infinitely more accessible to other human beings than one that you tried to sort of maybe squeeze into, you know, into a box that it didn't fit into.
Wouldn't know where to begin.
One of the things that Steve said when he joined, when he came into the band, was that he wanted to make the band sound like it's, you know, capture the live energy, and I think we've done that with this record.
I think we've made a record which is almost the flip side of Meds. I think we've made a record about choosing life, choosing to live, about stepping out of the darkness and into the light. Not necessarily turning your back on the darkness, because it's there and it's essential and it's a part of who you are, but more about the choice of actually standing in the sunlight instead and feeling the potential, you know, that each of us really sort of has within ourselves in order to be who we really are meant to be. I'm very optimistic about the future. I'm in a positive frame of mind and in a good headspace. You know, I think there's a lot of life in the old dog just yet. That old dog is called Placebo.
I sun